Game where you had a lead heading into the fourth. How do you think your guys responded down the stretch?
I think it was a good game. There were a lot of good things that came out of it. You know, you're on the road. You're against, I guess they say they're the sixth best team in the NBA. They're certainly one of the best teams in the East on the road. The performance, I thought, for the most part, was solid. You know, there are a few things you'd like to have back, but in general, I'm proud of our group.
When Horford gets going like that, like he did in the second half, is that just a veteran thing? Like he just knows how to do it. It didn't seem like you guys weren't covering him all that much, but he just finds ways to get big baskets.
I think that's a challenge for Joel Embiid guarding a stretch five. You know, you got a 7'2" rookie that's, you know, having to figure out Al Horford picking and popping. And it's one of the dilemmas. You know, they needed every one of those 19 threes. And I give them credit. But, you know, obviously the game is different if they didn't shoot as well as they did. That's what they do. You know, Avery got going. Horford was, to me, the real killer. And I think it's a tremendous learning situation for Joel. Guarding a very unusual type of five-man. And I give Al credit, and I reference the importance for Joe learning from this.
Brett, I know the big man situation is fluid. Why the decision with Okafor tonight?
Just because we're learning, you know, it's difficult to play three bigs in a 48-minute window. Sometimes it's difficult to pair up two bigs. Tonight wasn't one of those nights. And we decided to rotate the group because of that.
Holding Boston 24 points below their average points in the paint, how much of that goes into evaluating the bigs when you sit down and look at things?
I think defensively we did a good job. You know, for them to end up with shooting 40% from the floor, when you factor in they shot 47.5%, 48% from the three-point line, we did a good job in other areas. I think this is one of the hardest teams to defend in the league. We've spoken before the game. I think the best offensive team in the fourth period. It's just the three-point shot was a killer. I feel like the rest of the stuff was solid, and the points in the paint type thing I feel like was solid. The three-point shot hurt us.
What do you think was
assists on 37 baskets? Not bad, TJ, with his game. Ball movement tonight, pretty much as good as you've seen it this year?
And we need it. We don't have, like, help us Isaiah Thomas guys. And anything that we do, we have to do by committee. And to have 30 assists on 37 baskets, you know, it reflects of our best ways to score. It needs to move. You need to find people through movement. You're not even going to plunk it down and watch Joe go to work. That's not who he is yet either. And so I feel like we felt the pain of having one point guard. You know, I think Nick with Avery in him, and Avery sniffed blood, and their team jumped Nick. You know, you really felt the pain of having only one point guard. And we give them credit. We thought that's what they would do, and they did it, and they do it well. The movement we needed, when we got in a drought toward the end of the third period, I thought our offense, we got in a drought at the end of the third. I felt like it was for that reason as much as anything, them jumping Nick.
with the Celtics scoring as much as they did from the three-point line? What was going on with the perimeter defense today?
Just you always have to find them, like I said at the beginning. You know, Al Horford is difficult to pick and pop and find a 7-foot or 6'11" five-man, and he did a good job of separating.
You mentioned it being a learning experience for Joel, but as far as the whole team, how important are these kind of games in terms of learning to close out?
I mean, it's just any game we win, it's not because we're going to blow people out. And so our roadmap are games like this. You know, I thought one of the out-of-bounds plays got sloppy. Joe really traveled, and we were lucky to get the ball over to TJ. And then I thought the last play for Ersan, we had a good look to have a walk-off three and leave the building. And defensively, you know, how are you not going to allow that pick-and-pop situation with Al again? So all these things, it adds up. It hardens our guys. It teaches our guys. And we need all of these experience. I think looking back, you know, these games help us.
To that point, Joel with 4 personal fouls in 6 third-quarter minutes there. What can he learn from that?
I mean, it's just all, where do I begin? It's just everything is new to him. and you can see as the game progresses, even, the conditioning and his balance and decision making, it all adds up. And his heart is so in the right place. He cares tremendously, he cares immensely, and he's a wonderful teammate. And so, like the anxiety of walking down a game and him feeling the weight of having to deliver either a blocked shot or a scored basket, sometimes he gets ahead of himself. And you just feel it in him. And I think even the last play that I'm referencing, you feel it maybe the most.
Brett, on a positive note, can you speak to TJ's 17 assists?
I mean, and 2 turnovers.
Yeah.
And so like to think, and he's done this now. We've had, 5 games where we've only had 1 point guard. And I think he's 4 for 5, when we give him this role. And he, I suppose there's some leniency and there's some freedom when he knows that he's going to play a lot. And his conditioning was the thing I think he should be most proud of, where he was able to sustain a very high defensive rate and chasing Isaiah around. And I thought he did a really good job on Isaiah Thomas. I mean, Isaiah was 6 for 14. And so the combination of 17 assists and a hell of a defensive effort, that's a well-rounded game.